What's going on, y'all? Welcome to NJ Healthy Heat, the podcast. I'm your host, Matthew De La Rosa, and today I've got a special guest, Andy Barkett. He is a 2018 World Series champion. Yes, you heard that right, World Series champion. It's not every day you get to talk to somebody who's had the honor of hoisting that trophy. So we're going to dive into everything Red Sox. We're also going to talk about what he's doing now. He's a personal hitting coach. He works with some of the best high school, college, and I think pro players across the country. So really interested to hear his hitting philosophy as well as his journey. He's also played numerous amounts of years as a professional baseball player himself, making it to the big leagues as well as coaching in the minor leagues, and also at the professional level, obviously. So without further ado, man, I'd love for you to just kind of give a 60-second snapshot of who you are and how you've gotten to this point in your career. I know you've got a
Wow.
lot to wrap up in 60 seconds, but
Yeah, that's a lot of 60 seconds, man. Well, thanks for having me on. And hello to all your listeners. And hopefully, in the next 60 minutes, you can pull some nuggets out of here that'll help you or your children or somebody that you love and support in baseball or in life. I was a non drafted free agent that thought I was going to, maybe just hopefully get a cup of coffee in professional baseball. I wanted to come home from college and have the hat that I signed with somebody, and I come home to my college and see all my college guys, and I'm a pro guy now. That's what I wanted. And next thing you know, I had 28 years later in a World Series ring. I got a little bit more than I anticipated. So yeah, it's been a long journey and a great journey. But now, I'm kind of on the backside of that and looking back at the journey and learning and now taking all the the lessons along the way and showing them to the next generation of players.
Definitely. So you've had one of the most unique, journeys in baseball, right? You've played, collegiately. Obviously, you played professionally. Then you worked in the minor leagues as a coach, and then you made it all the way to the big leagues as a coach and a player. So when you kind of look back and reflect on your career, what part of your career do you think has shaped you most now as a coach? Like, what part of it has helped you kind of unravel your brain of what baseball is to really help your players that you work with now?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of everything. I think you have to understand the 21st century athlete to deal with the players now, but the 21st century athlete still has the issues, if you will, at the plate that the 20th century athlete had. Hitting is really, it transcends time. Like we do some different things now, but the mind of a hitter, it hasn't really changed and probably never will, as far as like how you feel when you're not doing well, how you feel when you are doing well. What's your game plan? What's your mental game like? What's your approach like? Obviously, we've evolved a lot on the mechanics side in baseball, but and there's a lot to be said about that. But I think that what transcends time that I would take from all of my career is that the mind and the heart of a baseball player is really, the mind and the heart of a human being that doesn't really change. Um, we're all this game is so much failure. We're beating ourselves up constantly. So trying to, be able to align my mental game with my daily, approach and my daily routine to be able to try to build and achieve something that, that hasn't changed either. But trying to get this generation of athlete who's used to just scrolling on his phone and getting an answer really fast, getting that person to understand that this takes time, that this is a process, I'd say is the biggest challenge in this day and age. That this generation wants results quick, and then back in the day we learned that this is a process and it takes time.
Definitely. I hear you talk about mental approach a lot throughout your content, and you're always preaching it to the guys that you work with, or so I see. What is, the mental game to you in baseball? Like, what defines it? How can somebody, begin to understand it and then kind of implement it into their game? If you're a youth athlete, a high school athlete who really hasn't had to rely on the mental game yet, because I think, right, throughout my career, the mental game, yes, it was present in high school, but you don't really start having to think about the game of baseball until you get to college, and then definitely when you get into pro ball, right? In the early ages of your career, you can, really lean on just your physical attributes, and then after those kind of even out with the rest of the playing field, it is that mental, side of things that kind of take those players from, bench players or maybe bottom of the lineup guys to guys who are, at the top of the lineup and getting drafted and then moving up in the organization. So where does a player begin to even peel back the layers of the mental side of the game?
Yeah, I mean, I think mental skills are just like physical skills that you have to start working on. And I think there's techniques and there's trainings and there's I just completed a book called Core, which is my mental skills program. The last real job I had was the hitting coordinator for the Chicago White Sox,
Mm.
and the first year I was special assistant to Tony La Russa and player development, and so I was kind of a liaison between AAA and the major leagues. And then the second year I was the coordinator, and I came in and this organization needed an overhaul of mechanics. We needed a foundation of how to move. So I came in and we're going to work on movements the first year, get everybody moving correctly, and get this throughout the coaching staff. Year two, I thought year one we did a really good job. You know, the numbers got better in the organization. Year two, we put in approach and plan and how to game plan and how to hunt pitches and really teach that. And then year three, if I was going to come back, I had written a mental skills program, and I was going to implement that as part of my plan in 2024. My contract, however, wasn't renewed in the middle of the season or the middle of instructional league, which is the end of the season.
Yep.
So going into 2025, I had interviewed for some major league jobs. I didn't get them, and I started working on Core, the book, and working on Core, teaching it to privately, both remotely, and then as well to teams and groups. And it's an acronym. It stands for ownership of process, championship mindset, ownership of process, relentlessness, and enthusiasm. And so if you break it down, championship mindset, the book goes into what is that. Everybody talks about it, but really, what is that? And to me, if you've never won a championship and you've never led a team or been on a team at a higher level, I'd say high school or above, to win a championship of some sort, you really don't quite know what a championship mindset is. You might say or you read books about it, but if you've never done it, I don't really think because there's something inside of you. It's a power inside your soul that connects with a bunch of other people. And when that happens and we're all connected, we all start doing something different. And we start training different, and we start playing different and approaching the game different when we're doing it as a group. And that's what happened with the 2018 Red Sox. And that's what basically the book is based upon, was that core, that acronym comes from the heartbeat of that team, where I call it baseball utopia. I say this in the book, that you got the greatest players in the world, or some of them. You got David Price, you got Porcello, you got Chris Sale, you got Devers, you got Mookie. I mean, on and on. Mitch Moreland, Xander Bogaerts. What a team of players, right?
Yeah.
However, they got good. The Padres had a good group of players too. I mean, you can look around and say there's lots of superstars, but this group was here. You got 25 talented guys, and then everybody with that soul power kind of connected. Then something different happens. Everything happens. So you start training as a champion. You start thinking as a champion. And then basically breaking that down, mental game is owning your process every day. What is your daily method of operations? And do you wake up in the morning and decide to do your abs and your core routine, or do you grab the remote and a donut? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. You got to figure it out. Your routine and who you are. That starts first in the morning. So mental game is not just thinking in the moment to hit. Mental game is how I structure my life. Relentlessness was the attitude of the team, that relentlessly we're going to keep coming back at you no matter what. That's a mental skill. That's something that we beat ourselves up in life and beat ourselves up in baseball. And we have to have techniques to be able to get to the point where we can be relentless in how we go about our daily routine. And then the last E is enthusiasm. And that is, your attitude, basically. How do you come to work every day? How do you come to the ballpark every day? How do you come to whatever every day? What are you bringing? Are you sucking energy? Are you bringing energy? Are you encouraging others? Or are you just encouraging yourself? So those are all mental skills. People like to think that there's some sort of secret sauce when it comes to mental skills. It's just being very intentional about doing things that you would think are normal, but just structuring your thoughts in your life so you start thinking and acting differently.
Now, that book that you mentioned, is that publicly available for people? Like, can people
It's
purchase that?
it will be soon. I'm actually speaking at the World Coaches Convention in up your way in Connecticut at
Oh,
the
there you go.
Mohican Sun. Yeah, and so I'm hoping that it'll be ready. That I'll have a copy then. I actually just finished it recently in the last couple of days. My wife has been saying, "Hey, you need to finish that book," and I was like, "Yeah, you're right." And so like I took a day off, a couple of days off, and just knocked it out. I mean, I had a lot of it done. It was just wasn't where I needed it to be, but it's pretty close now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I was just wondering because I personally love to read, and anytime you can get your hands on information like that, it's always super valuable. And I wanted to make sure that the audience knew that that was available. So when it does become available, let me know so I can let the people here and the
For
people that
sure.
I work with, let them know. Um,
Thank
so
you.
so when it comes to just like start like okay, so your championship mindset, and if you can't get to that mindset until you win a championship, then like where do you start, right? So
Well,
like
then,
it's like the egg or the chicken. So how do you get that mindset
right.
then?
Yeah, you got to train it, right? That's the point. You got to train it. You got to talk to people who know what they're talking about, and you have to listen because there's a lot of people talking out there, man. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of people talking that don't know what they're talking about. There's a lot of people talking about hitting that are just trying to sell either a device or sell a technique or a program. I mean, and I do all the above. I sell devices and I sell programs and techniques myself. However, I also work with some of the best players in the world.
Yeah, you're
Uh,
also standing on business, as the kids say
yeah,
these
yeah. I
days,
mean,
right? You've got a
I have a track
background
record.
and a pedigree of
Right,
all this
right,
stuff.
exactly. But there's a lot of people just doing it to do it. I do it because I care about players. Yeah. Do I make money? Do you make money? Do we make a living in baseball? Yes. Now doing it in the private sector and not working for professional teams anymore. Yeah, but at the same time, I don't do it because I've never done it for money. I mean, you do it because you love the game and you have the opportunity to change somebody's life when they walk into your life with the knowledge and experience that I have. And that's what I want to be able to do. I want somebody to look back and say, "Hey, man, you helped me," and I really appreciate that. That's what's important to me.
Yeah,
So,
no, that's important stuff.
um,
And yeah, I mean, so you know, I started as a So my quick background on me. I know you
mhm.
don't know anything about me, but I started as a hitter, shortstop, two-way player in college. Scouts started to come to see me as a shortstop. Bat didn't translate. Hit about 210 in the Northwoods League for 2 summers, and then ended up getting drafted as a pitcher.
Mhm.
After getting back into baseball, I kind of dove back into pitching because I was like, look, I've done that at the highest level. That's what people will see. I've got video of me throwing hard, yada yada yada. I could maybe teach hitting. I've got accolades. I've set school records. I've hit a bunch of home runs. All those things. It just seems like those two buckets, though, the pitching and the hitting, are just so saturated with so much of just people out there talking nonsense, and nobody seems to be on the same page. And it's always just this Instagram war, the Twitter war of like who's right, who's wrong. And it's gotten to a point where like I myself, for my business, am starting to pull myself away from both of those, and I'm actually starting to teach more fielding because, believe it or not, fielding, one, it's less there's less instructors out there, and I've got some accolades behind my name as well to kind of stand on that as well. Partnered with some great people, shout out Lou Cologne. And it just seems like that community of fielding instructors are on the same page, and like nothing's really changing in fielding, right? So speak on hitting. Like, what is happening right now with hitting? I know that I've seen you on Instagram,
Yeah.
with your opinions, but like, speak on what is happening to the hitting landscape in baseball right now, on online specifically.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's just messy, and I hate for parents and players out there because everybody's looking for answers. What do I need to do? Who should I listen to? Who should I learn from? And it's really hard to kind of decipher. But yeah, the hitting is a mess. And to your point on the fielding, yeah, I mean, it's amazing how we can get on the same page with certain things, but then certain things we can't, right? Like for example, we have strength and conditioning people who you could take a strength and conditioning, pick any rivalry, Auburn, Alabama, pick whatever, Ohio State, Michigan. The strength coaches, I guarantee you, are buddies at both
Yeah,
schools. and they go to their conference together, and the Alabama guy's hanging out with the Auburn guy, and he's buying him a Bud Light, and I'm going to buy the next round. And those guys are like, and they're talking their stuff, and they're on the cutting edge of getting players better with the technology we have in strength and conditioning. And we do a great job, country nationwide with developing players and getting them stronger. I'll have males and females from Power 5 schools that come in here that all have different body builds. Some look like fullbacks. Some look like just like they should be models on TV, male, either way. But all of them have powerful engines. Like the strength conditioning people are building booties, you know what I'm saying, and doing a great job of it. But yet when we get to the hitting or we get to the pitching, we can't sit together at the convention and order a beer and talk and share information. No. I got my information. No, I got my information. No, I'm right. No, I'm wrong. No, this, that. And it's like it drives me crazy because what's important is not who's the smartest hitting guy, which is the game that we're all playing, apparently. What's important is that we get the players better. But we want to worry about fighting on Instagram. We want to worry about this. I mean, for example, it's affected me personally. Richard, teacher man, is we have a player that we share as a client. And so I work a lot with the player's mental game, and I'm more hands-on with him on a day-to-day. Richard will come in and consult and do some mechanical work with him, and he'll come to my place. Well, the first time he did, I shot some video and I posted it. And I had people reaching out to me, basically blowing me up and saying things to me that I can't repeat on your podcast because this guy was in my cage.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you do this? How dare you? That guy's this, and you whatever you sell your this and blah blah blah. I'm like, bro, first of all, how are you doing? Good to hear from you. By the way, Brandy and the kids are good. How's your family? You know what I'm saying? Like, you haven't called and asked a question about me in years, but this guy's in my cage, and now you want to go crazy. Like, but this is what this is caused. Like, people are nuts about this, right? Here's the deal. I think if you are helping players, you should be able to have a voice and say what you want to say. If you're not helping players and you're just popping off, whether you're a 20-year big leaguer or you're a 20-year clown, then just keep your mouth closed, man. Because like if you want to get in the arena and get your hands dirty, then you know what? If people like your technique, at the end of the day, Richard starts a lot of this going back and forth with people. He says people start with him. Who knows? But at the end of the day, he is Aaron Judge's hitting coach.
I mean, what are you going to say about it?
I mean, you can say what you want. And Giancarlo works with him too.
He works with a lot of people. He
works with a lot of people that he doesn't public like. And when he's in here, he's very respectful to me. We're very respectful to each other. I let him do his thing. He lets me do my thing. My son was in here. He was a 10th round pick of the Giants. Hey, Richard, take a look. If you see something, say something. Hey, if I can find one thing, dude, to help get a player better, you know what? That's all that matters to me. I remember growing up, or not growing up, when I was young, married. The pastor that married us, he used to say, he was a Baptist minister. I didn't grow up Baptist or anything of the sort. And he goes, listen, Andy, listen. I wouldn't walk across the street to make somebody a Baptist. I don't care. But I would do anything to make sure that you know the Lord. Like that's the point. And I think that's what we need to adopt that as a hitting culture. It's like, I wouldn't walk across the street to teach you Richard's technique or anybody's. It doesn't matter. But I'll do anything to help you get better. You know what I'm saying? It's not about the technique. It's not about where. It's about I'm going to lock arms with you, and we're going to figure it out. And that's how it works. Because hitting is hard, pitching is hard.
Yeah,
and we should all struggle with all of it. It's a messy world out there. But if you want to get just the basics of hitting.
Well, real quick before you move on to the basics of hitting, I'm curious. Like, do you see? Because the people that I see who get super upset or who are on, Instagram or Twitter, being upset, or who are in people's comments, like, they're not high, like, I hate to say, they're not high level people. They're just like some Joe Schmo out there. So I'm curious, you're having conversations with high level hitting coaches, high level players. Like, are people at that level also that type of way? And without obviously calling people out in like one way or the other, but like, are people who are professional hitting coaches, do they care one way or the other? Like, or because I feel like once you get to a certain level, like you mentioned, we're all after just like a little bit better. So if teacher man or whoever has a little bit of information, the way he phrases something clicks me, right? And then I go off and I go, 12 for my next 20. Who cares, right?
Who cares?
Whereas like I feel like it's the youth or like high school, maybe even a little bit of the college down, depending on the lower level colleges that are the ones that are super like one side or the other. What are your thoughts? Like you're seeing it at all levels or just from a certain level down?
Well, nowadays it's changed, right? Like nowadays we've got analysts that have never, that can't play catch that are coaching in the big leagues. So I mean, it's changed a lot, right? So I think that you know the arguing and the who's right and who's wrong, I think is happening even in professional baseball, especially on the biomechanical
On the
side.
biomechanical side, for sure, for
Yeah, like I
sure.
think every team thinks that they have the magic sauce and that they're going to do this and figure it all out. And at the end of the day, a really good pitching, really good defense, and the team with the best players usually wins, no matter what. That usually ends up happening. But we're spending a lot of money and resources on technology, and technology is great. Like I use it. I have a hit track system in here. I have a PX3 machine. I have the blast motion. We can measure whatever, but I end up coaching a lot more than that, even with the capabilities that I have, because most of the people that I interact with, that's important to them. But they got other. Hey, how do I hit a slider? Like how do
Yeah,
I stay square? You know what I mean? Like you got to coach the
yeah.
whole player, not just the swing. And I
Do you
think
ever
we've
find
gotten
yourself just turning the? Do you ever find yourself just turning the technology off?
all the time.
Yeah,
I have a parent that just won't allow me to turn it on. He's like, don't. No matter how much he asks, don't let him. Because the kid will overswing, and we want to keep it, between the guardrails. So I don't even turn it on. Yeah, there's times I turn it off. Heck, I'm training my son right now. I wish I could turn it off when he's in here because he gets sometimes too into it. But he's a modern day. He's kind of the picture of the modern day hitter where he's grown up in a different era. He's grown up where he's slow mo video and metrics
yeah,
on him, and that doesn't look right in matchup and feel. And so the brain of this young hitter is different than the brain of somebody from the 90s,
yeah.
But when it
Even
comes to
even my
failure,
age, like I didn't even have slow motion, right? Like
right?
even just like I didn't. My last game in as a hitter was in 2016. I'd never once got launch angle. I never once got into a cage and hit a ball and saw how far it went. My home
Right.
runs in game, I never got told what it came off my bat at. Like
Yeah.
nothing like that.
I was texting with Mookie during the World Series right before Game 6, and he was asking me what was my routine in 18. You remember? I said, how could I forget? Right, this is ingrained in my brain. And so I started firing up, and he goes, "Did I hit foam balls?" I said, "Mookie, we didn't have foam balls in 2018. What's the matter with you? They didn't come out till like 2021." So yeah, things have changed. The hitting is the fast forward and the technology and how we train hitters now is gone from A to Z and back to A, and it's all messy and everybody's got a different theory. I mean, I have a bucket over here with about 16 different foam balls, basically, right? Different types of companies sell me or send to me to try to get to use and so forth to
Yeah,
find the best one. And I think, you know what the best one is? The baseball. That's the best one because it gives the hitter the feeling when they square it up to really, hit the ball. And sometimes those foam balls are good for your eyes and hands to like do certain things, but training a hitter over time, feeling the weight of the bat is the key. I have one that's 4.5 ounces, the same size as a baseball. It's rubber. If any of them, I use that one for the machine. But other than that, I like baseballs.
even when the only time, and again, I don't know much about foam balls. I know that some of the kids that I work with, I don't work with hitters. I know hitting, I don't talk hitting though.
Smart guy.
I'm not out there trying to do it.
Yeah.
But from what I've understood, it really helps train that velo aspect of trying to get in there without having the hitter be weary of like, am I going to get jammed? With the wood bat nowadays, more kids are swinging wood bats at an earlier age. I feel like than ever before. Not trying to break a wood bat with a real baseball. Like, what are I guess in your opinion pros of training with a foam ball, or is there any?
I think what you just said. I think that to engage the ball, I think the fear of getting jammed, breaking your bat, getting hit ball off the end, the fear of not, so you won't fully engage the ball sometimes off a machine, and you kind of tiptoe your way through it. And that's where you get blown up a little bit. But, you know, I like them for certain things. Ride, if you're trying to train ride, you want the ball to be at the top of the zone and to stay up there. And those foam balls do a great job of kind of giving the hitter the illusion that some pitchers do with ride. So I like that aspect. But I think that, like, just in talking to Mookie, hitting the foam balls, I don't think we're helping him. I think it was, it gave him the hand eye, but it doesn't quite, your body doesn't brace the exact same and really use the ground the same to hit a foam ball as it does to hit a baseball. It's just something that when I know that there's more weight coming, I got to get into the ground. I can cheat the foam ball a little bit and get away with it, and I can't cheat a baseball.
Now, you are a fan of different modalities, though, because I've seen on your social media that you use different kind of tools. I saw the post the other day. I would call them gimmicks, I guess. You got all these different gimmicks that you have, right? So what are some tools that you personally like to use with your hitter? Obviously, each hitter is going to determine which tool is necessary for them. But what are some ones that you think are like maybe a staple that every kid could go out there, buy, and have some sort of success with?
Well, I would. There's a couple. First of all, the one that I invented, and anybody that's on your podcast, I'll give them all a quick discount code. You can maybe put this in the chat later if
For
there is
sure.
one. But it's, if you go to powerpivotusa.com, all one word, and you put in the word power, the number 15 at checkout, you'll get a discount, 15% off and free shipping.
Let me write that down. You said
Basically,
Power 15.
powerpivotusa.com and then power 15 at checkout,
I'll put
and
that
that'll
in
get
the,
yeah.
for those listening, it'll be down below, Power 15.
Okay, so the power pivot's great because it can do a lot of things. I used to use these two, I still have them. These bubbles in here, that stability bubbles you can use to like rehab an ankle.
Yep.
And have guys standing on both of those. And then I have a great tool is a 3x2 board, about a 2 foot or 23-inch, 22-inch, depending how big the kid is. High school player, 24 inches fine, maybe a little bit less. 3x2 or 4x2 board where you put that between your feet, and your feet just kind of straddle and squeeze the board, and then we're coiling our hip and swinging without using our feet, and so we're trying to teach the hip to turn under the spine. So the cheapest route is to go to Home Depot and to buy a board for $8. The power pivot is a great tool because hitting really is about learning how to use your pelvis, your engine, I like to call it. And I break the pelvis up into two parts, the brakes and the gas. And so the power pivot can help you really train the brakes and then train the gas as well, which you need both of them in order to really swing efficiently. So and I have one hand bats. I mean, like I said, like in my crazy video, I wouldn't walk across the street to get you to use one of my tools, but I'll do whatever it takes to get you to help you be a better hitter. So if it's a chuck it dog toy, every hitter's different. If it's a connection ball that I put back here for space, I mean, it doesn't. Different folks for different strokes for different folks. JD Martinez had a bag that we used to carry around home and on the road, and that bag was full of different tools. And I have a similar bag here that players use different things every day. So yeah, there's a gamut.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the same thing goes for pitching. Now, I speak more on the pitching side because, again, that's where I've kind of made my career. But there's so many different things between your weighted balls, your throwing clubs, your connection balls, any balance stuff that you have. Again, if you throw it all at the water bags, if you don't know how to use them right, like if you just throw it all at the athlete, like maybe they'll get better. I'm sure there might be, but like you have to understand, and that's where good coaching comes into play of like, hey, you need this tool and I think it's going to help you feel this. And then by feeling this, we're going to implement it into the cage work later down the road. And now you're going to have success because of this one tool. But that one tool didn't fix it. It just gave them the feel to then go back into their daily routine and their daily work to then get that feel to translate into the game. So, no, that's great stuff, man.
Thanks,
What
man.
are some, I posted earlier in the week that you were coming on. I had somebody reach out and they just wanted to know, they're a high school coach out there. They're curious on, maybe some hitting routines, maybe from tee all the way through coach pitch, but or live BP. What are some routines out there that you currently do, or maybe used with the 2018 Red Sox team that led to some success?
Yeah, I mean, I based a lot of my teaching and coaching off of that team because before that, I was a manager in the minor leagues. I wasn't
Why
a hitting
wouldn't
coach.
you? You know,
Yeah,
why
so
wouldn't you? That's a
right,
good team to base them off
yeah,
of.
that's right. Best offense in the history of the organization, the best record in
Is
the
that
history of the
real?
organization. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We had
Oh
the
my god, dude!
best
You
record
got
in
a
the history of
tattoo
the
of the Red Sox?
ball.
I don't get tattoos, but I might get a tattoo if I ever won
No,
a
no,
World
man, no
Series.
tattoos, no tattoos of the Red Sox. No, they well, they did fire me too. You know what I'm saying? So I mean,
Yeah, but everybody gets
but
fired.
that
Everybody
ring,
gets
yeah, that's
fired in
true.
baseball.
Every hitting coach gets fired every couple of years. But
Yeah.
that ring's a beautiful thing, and yeah, I mean that team is, and I learned a ton. So when I got there, I was more. Alex Cora hired me to be more the relationship coach, to be more the mental guy, to connect with the guys and to kind of, to be more that type of hitting guy. Tim Hires, who was my partner, was the more the mechanical guy. Had come from L.A. and had worked with a lot of the hitting guys out there, Wallen Brock and Doug Latta and Robert Van Sook, who's the Dodgers hitting coach now. And he was familiar with all the new hitting movements and training and all of these things. I didn't know it wasn't my thing, dude. I was putting on bunt defenses. You know what I'm saying? Like I was going to take Glass now out of the game after 100 pitches, or I'm going to get fired because we had a pitch limit back then, Glass now pitched for me in 2017 in Indianapolis. So
Okay,
I
there you
was
go.
I was managing a team. I'd go in the cage and I'd help Butch Weiniger was my hitting coach. I'd help him flip or I'd throw around, but I didn't want players thinking about mechanics, man, thinking about that what he's going to throw you, dog. Don't worry about your elbow. Think about that heater, right?
Yeah,
But then I started working with guys and I realized how much they're thinking about
yeah,
it. And this modern day hitter's thinking about it. And we go, hey, don't think about it. That's not real. That's not reality. You're not meeting the player where he is. So that year I still learned. I stayed as the mental guy because we were World Series or bust, and I was the relationship coach from wire to wire. I didn't even get into the mechanics. Year two, I learned it all. And so then I was able to develop kind of a routine. And so normally when I teach my program, I start off with the engine, and that's why I encourage everybody to kind of warm up with every day: engine and path. Engine's your hips. So drills where I'm getting my hip to rotate under my spine and not around my spine. You can do this with the power pivot. You can do this with standing on bubbles. You can do this standing with the board between your feet. You can do it with just your feet on the ground with nothing. Coiling your hip, uncoiling, and making sure your hip is rotating without you spinning. You're hitting with heel pressure, and then that heel connecting to your hip, and then your hip and glute rotating under your spine, not a spin, not a squash a bug, right? So, and then path work, one hand drills with really clean direction to the middle of the field, making sure your technique is clean. And these are all in my program. And then connection drills. Connection drills is where you're swinging with your core and you're not swinging very hard, but you're swinging so that your core, you take the arms out of it, in other words. And you just really make the athlete use his hips to swing. And I have different techniques to kind of train that. But I would train the engine every day, path and direction, because those are three things you need. And then the timing of making sure players are able to sequence their movements. Just as as in the pitching world, sequencing is the key to biomechanics and getting the ball to come out like you want to. It's the same in hitting. If your sequence is really good, then the ball will jump off your bat. If your sequence is mangled, then it's really hard to get your swing off. Hence, Mookie in the World Series, when we were working before Game 6, he had been trying to chase some bat speed and do some bat speed training, and his legs were out of whack. And so his sequence was off. And so all before Game 6, all he was doing was working on getting his sequence back because he doesn't need any more bat speed.
yeah.
He just needs to be in sequence. And so that would be the focus for me, is learn the movement patterns, allow your players to start training them, and then change the focus to approach. So when you get onto the field, you're starting to hunt right center, left center. We're not thinking about movements anymore. We're thinking about hunting pitches and then driving them to certain areas on the field, because that's a big part of it. You can't just have the movements and not the mental setting the pitcher up and looking for ways to hit pitches.
Yeah, and so that comes into play for my career in college, right? I didn't know anything about approach, anything about that. You just go up there and you're just basically you got one approach, and it's see fastball, hit fastball, and that probably is a good approach to keep throughout your entire career. But as the game evolves, as it gets faster, as pitches get sharper, as people start understanding how to turn over lineups and not show you their stuff the first time, all that good stuff, right? How do you learn approach, right? Is it just through experience and you just have to be in so many games, or is it talking to guys, or what is um somebody's first step to trying to learn how to have a better approach, as like maybe a high schooler who's an elite player, but they're going to get beat the moment they step on a power 4 campus because they don't necessarily know how to have a good approach against somebody who's maybe 95 with a slider and a changeup and a two seam, and can pitch.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, number one, you have to start training it. You have to be aware of it. You have to kind of start bringing it into play and say, this has got to be part of my game. If I want to play at a high level, I need to have it. It's got to be part of my game. Um, Matt, you're a pitching guy. Pitching coaches are sneaky. Hey, young players, guess what? That pitching coach that shakes your hand, that knows your family before the game, he's putting signs on to try to get you out
Yeah.
from the jump. And he's watching everything that you're doing, and he's watching how you approach each pitch, and he's calling his pitches accordingly, and he's reacting to how you react. And so if you don't think that there's a defense coming at your offense with a plan, then you have a problem. That's like without an approach is like okay, I'm playing the New York Jets. Maybe a bad example. I don't know. Give me the Buffalo Bills, and I'm coming to the line, and they got a defensive scheme, and they know about my, and I don't have a play called to fight their defensive scheme. I just let them do whatever they want. That's going to the plate without an approach. Okay, having an approach is going up like Tom Brady and saying, no, screw that. We're not. They're going to do this. I'm going to do this. And check, blue 21. We're going to do this. Now I'm taking control of the at bat and not letting the pitcher. I'm hunting a pitch. Okay, so like elite approach would be this. And this, I was actually managing this game. Manny Ramirez is playing for me, one of the best right-handed hitters of all time. This is in the Dominican in 2015. This is on YouTube. You can actually see this homer. We're facing our rivals, Licey. I'm managing the Águilas. Madrigal was the setup guy for Licey. First and second, we're down 2 runs, no outs, 8th inning. I actually had the idea to pinch hit for Manny Ramirez, bro, because he had been swinging it bad and bunt. And then I get the guys over because I was having a tight butt because my job was on the line. We got 20,000 people against Licey. We haven't been playing good. He's 42 years old. He hadn't been swinging it good. Right? So anyway, and then I started thinking, if the dude pops up the bunt and we get a triple play, they'll kill me. Like they'll hang me from the stadium lights. Like I won't get out of the stadium alive, right? So I let Manny hit. So Manny gets up there. Madrigal was 95 with a split, 2-pitch guy. 95. Manny takes a horrible swing. Long. I'm like, oh no, we're done. Split, take, 95, 3-run homer. The place goes crazy, right? We get the closer down, we shut the game down, we win the game. The next day at the batting cage, I see Manny, and I say in Spanish, hey, me asustaste, you scared me, bro. That first pitch, you look like viejo, you look old, And he goes, Andy, I set him up. I said, what? He goes, I swung a miss on purpose. I said, Manny, my job's on the line here, bro. What are you talking about? With the game on the line in the 8th inning, you swung a miss on purpose? What do you mean? He goes, hey, bro, calm down. You say your word. I swung a miss because I wanted him to feel comfortable throwing that fastball the next time. And then, Andy, I know he's going to throw me 2 splits, and then I'm not going to chase. I saw them. I saw his glove pop. I saw the split. And then the next, I knew the fastball was coming, so I was waiting for it. This dude swung and missed on purpose to bait the guy, to be comfortable, to not worry about having to get the fastball in. I'll just throw it down the middle because this old man can't hit it. And he sent it to the moon. Okay, that's elite approach, boys. Now don't go swinging and missing on purpose and say you heard.
You ain't Manny Ramirez. You ain't Manny Ramirez.
Okay, but here's the thing: go up there hunting something. You know what I mean? Like, I can't stand when a player comes back to the dugout and says, "Hey, what were you looking for?" I didn't have an approach. It would have been better for you to tell me that you were trying to break the Guinness Book World Record pop up to the catcher, to the highest pop up ever. That would have been better for you to tell me than you had nothing. Because at least that guy trying to break the record, he's looking for a pitch to hit. He's loading. He's ready to do something. You see what I'm saying? So otherwise, if you're not don't have an approach, then you're reacting to the pitcher. You, Matthew De La Rosa, love teaching a pitching approach. When they see a hitter that doesn't have an approach, you guys sniff that and you go right after him. And he's got holes everywhere, right? But when you got a guy who has a plan, ooh, you better coach better, because that hitter may swing and miss on purpose to be hunting something. Oh, no, this guy's got something up his sleeve. So that's what we want to be as hitters. We want to be where they're looking at us go, wow, that guy's got an idea what he's doing. He's looking for something in a certain spot, you know? David Ortiz one time hit a home run in 2003 in Dominican. I was playing on the visiting team. Or I was playing on the home team. He was on the visiting team to beat my team. And he had sold out to face to Guillermo Mota's 1-2 changeup and hit a 3-run homer. Now, this was a 95-mile-an-hour fastball with an 82-mile-an-hour straight change that rode for a strike. Big Papi sold out before he was Big Papi. It was just David at the time.
Yeah.
He sold out to a 1-2 changeup with the game on the line because you can't fastball and adjust. No. That doesn't happen against that much difference, right? And he hits a homer. And Mota, after the game, was throwing his spikes and throwing his glove all pissed off in the clubhouse. And I remember he was cussing the bleeping changeup. Finally said, y el cambio. And he goes, I struck him out 2 weeks ago on a 1-2 changeup. And I remember thinking, wow, David Ortiz is a bad man, because with the game on the line in the ninth, 1 strike left, I'm like, punch him out. Let's go. It's Presidente time. And this dude hits a homer. How did he do it? He sold out to that changeup. I'm like, wow. If you throw him a fastball down the middle, the game's over. You see, now look, kids, don't go sitting on changeups. So you heard on the podcast either.
That's where my question was going to be. My question was going to be, right, because there is, like, when I started becoming a good hitter, I'm not David Ortiz or Manny Ramirez. God, I wish I was a fraction of them. But when I started to come into my own, I did start to take educated guesses. My pitching coach and I understood what they were trying to do to me. I was a middle of the order guy. I was the guy that was hitting it over the fence, and we were just like, all right, I'm going to let some fastballs go by, but like I hit curveballs and sliders because I was a lefty coming into me pretty well. So now we're going to sit on these, and you have to almost like, because it's one of those conversations that you have with your coach and just like, hey, we're going to try this for a series and you might go 100, you might not get what happened, but over the course of the season, like if you trust what we're going to do here, like we're going to be right more times than we're wrong. And then it's just going to come down to you as a hitter being able to execute on the pitches that you get. So I'm curious where you draw the line between like guessing at pitches, because when I was really bad, I started guessing at pitches at my young career. So there's a difference between guessing at pitches and having an approach and like sitting on pitches. So what is that line? How do you draw that line?
Well, yeah, guessing is basically swinging out of the hand, which I don't ever recommend, right? Like I'm just swinging. This is a fastball, I'm swinging. This is a curveball, I'm swinging no matter what. And that's not a good idea. Approach would be more, I'm looking. Let's say you're a left-handed hitter, you're facing a right-handed sinker baller. Okay, that guy's trap, each pitcher has a trap. The right-handed sinker baller's trap is down and away, right? He wants the left-handed hitter to get off his engine and to reach. So I want to bring that guy up and closer to me. So I'm going to tunnel like the ball middle away and over the plate and up. And if that ball goes in that tunnel, I'm firing. If it's not in that tunnel, and if I see it down or away from that tunnel, I'm taking. Or if it's in, I'm taking. I'm just hunting that middle tunnel right there, that middle away. And I'm going to left center. So now my approach is very specific. And what's that based off of? Data, my eyes watching the game, if you're a high school player. In professional baseball now, we know a ton, right? Like there was times in Boston even, this was 6 years ago, I remember saying to players, listen, do not swing at a fastball. What? Why not? Because it's heavy spin at the edges. You can't, there's no slug. But that steal a strike breaking ball goes a long way, bro. Sit on it. And they look at you like, so you got to discipline yourself. Do not, I'm hunting soft only. I can't hit this guy's fastball really. If I do, it's barely a single,
Yeah.
you know? And so like, now obviously in high school, you can't necessarily have that information, but you watch the game, you know what I'm saying? And then you have a hunch and you have a little baseball acumen and feel, and you start developing it and approaching a game and start practicing it. I'm going to look fastball middle away here. I'm going to look fastball middle in here. I'm going to look fastball middle, whatever, something. Just don't go up there going, the way it's like if you were going to return Serena Williams' serve, you and I, man, we'd be in trouble, right? Shaboom,
Yeah.
be past us, right? But if Venus came to, Venus would be moving before Serena hit the ball. Why? Because she's seen it so many times. She's anticipating it. She's getting ready to attack before she even hits it. You see what I mean? So like that's gather, that's approach, that's reading what's getting ready to happen. That's experience, to your point. So many times Venus has seen serves, she can read the movement of the other tennis player to dictate her movements. And that's what hitters have to become, but that takes time, and that's not built in a lab necessarily.
Yeah. Switching topics here, completely random thought, but like, how is it training your son?
It's great. I mean, it's a blessing. This facility that I have, I pay the rent here, but I inherited. It came at a time that was like pre-draft, and we could train, and even finishing the season last year before the regionals and the ASUN and all that, and then going into his now 2026 professional season. It's great. It's a blessing to be able to have him in here every day and see him every day and coach him every day. It can be frustrating at times, I think, for both of us. I think that, Isaiah is a very coachable kid, and there's a lot of information given to players these days at the professional level, different than before. And he's trying to, work through a lot of that information and video and metrics and make improvements. And so it can be challenging because, as you know, once you start getting so much into the information and the data, you can forget what the heck we're even doing.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think he gets so caught up in trying to fit into a box, and all these players do these days, because this is how we're coaching them at the professional level, that they forget what makes them good. I had a player that got drafted this past year as an SEC player, really good player, came in here, and he just was like, I don't know what they want me to do, And I'm like, here's what they want you to do, bro. Bang. If you bang, they're going to say that it was their idea and it was all this stuff, the metrics and stuff that they taught you that helped you. So just bang. And whatever makes you bang and rake, then that's what you need to do. And so that, and now we can make adjustments here. We can definitely help some moves. We can create some more space. We can create some more whatever, but you got to trust what makes you good and go out there and do it. That's the message. But yeah, coaching Isaiah is a blast. It's cool because just from blocks from here, I used to take him out to the Little League field and he could barely hit the ball to the fence. And then it was short hop the fence. And then it was, we can't hit there anymore because he hits it to the neighbors across the street over the fence. And then to the high school field and then to the, so the circle of the baseball life, it's pretty neat to be able to train him and see his journey.
And so he went to Stetson, correct? That's where he went?
Yes.
Was that out of high school?
Yeah, out of high school, he went to NC State, which was my alma mater. He was there for a year. And then he won the transfer portal, and Stetson picked him up, and he played 2 years there. They won the ASUN both years that he was there. Went to the regionals, and he had some great moments. So it had some great memories. It was a great program, and he had a really good career there.
And so now, speaking to like maybe some of the high school kids and the parents of high school kids who are listening to this podcast right now, like what separates your son who went to a Power 4 school, then Stetson, compared to maybe some of his high school teammates that, one, didn't get a shot to play college baseball, or two, went to maybe some D2, D3. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm a D2 product myself, JUCO guy myself. There's good baseball all around. But basically my question is, like, what is separating, an elite player from, just your average Joe, maybe outside of just like God-given abilities, right?
Yeah, I think the separator with Isaiah is more his baseball acumen. And I mean, this kid grew up in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
So, I was a manager in the minor leagues for a long time, and he was with me that whole time. He would come to the field. He would, This kid has more relationships with more superstars that not even his friends know about. Just because he's been in baseball his whole life and been around these guys. I manage Remuto, I manage Yelich, I manage Ozuna. I mean, uh, Jose Fernandez, Giancarlo Stanton, all these guys. Isaiah was around as a young guy, and so he knows. And he saw me manage a team and was around it. Heck, he was helping make out lineups in 2014 when I was managing the Jacksonville Suns. And we won the. And
Now, do the
Muda was
Suns
my.
know about that?
I think they did actually. I don't think they minded. Yeah, like he'd be in the car on the way home, and all of a sudden he'd hand me a lineup card, and it'd be a 10-year-old writing on there, and I'd be like, "Dang, that's actually pretty good." I might use that tomorrow. And then I wouldn't use it sometimes, and then we'd lose, and he'd be pissed. He'd be like, "Told you, should use
Yeah.
my lineup." But no, they. And then when we won the World Series in 2018. He was around. He was there all the time, and he saw how professionals and champions work, and he saw what it takes to become a champion, and so he knows. Um, on the baseball side, he has a really bat to ball skills have always been elite. He went to the WWBA as a 10th grader and led it in hitting on the third team. He was he was on the Power, which is a big outfit
Yep.
around here, travel ball. He was on their third team, and he went there and freaking went off and and next. That was during COVID, during high school recruiting on Twitter, basically when the coaches weren't out just yet. So they saw him put up some big numbers, and then there was some power four schools in play right away, and then he had a bunch of offers, and he wanted to play at a big school, and so NC State was I think the biggest one at the time, and they just gone to the World Series, and he was all excited about it, so that's where he decided to go.
Now, I've got another question that came in from one of the players that I work with. Give me a second here. Let me pull it up.
Sure.
Oh, shoot. I should have had this ready. I had it ready. I read it before, and then memory got lost. Basically,
Sorry.
I remember the question. He's asking about a small move compared to a big move when it comes to loading and what your thoughts and ideas were on it. I've also got another question about two-strike approaches and what a two-strike approach means to you and what a player should be thinking about. So why don't you take the two-strike approach one first so I can better find this question. So when you think about two-strike approach, how would you teach that to a young athlete?
Yeah, I mean that's you got to be careful, giving away too much with two strikes. I think people get too defensive, and I think you should stay offensive. I think you should make some sort of adjustment, whether that be physical, mental approach, something. I think you should do something different with two strikes that allows you to get your best swing off. So, yet get your best swing off, yet still, um, command the zone. Like I don't like guys just tapping it and putting it in play. Now at the high school level, better because the defense might not be as good. But you start getting to college and professional baseball, you're out, dude. Like you're out all the time. So you got a better shot of taking a rip at it and hitting a two-strike double. So staying aggressive. I like to shrink the zone. People say widen the zone. I say shrink it. Pitching coaches are teaching these guys to throw it to the edge with two
Correct.
strikes and
Correct.
away from the edge. So why, as hitting coaches, are we going to the edges? Well, because the umpires call it. Okay, well that's still not developing good hitters. So shrink the zone. Force that dude to make a pitch, man. If he hits it on the edge and he dots you, okay. You're not hitting that good anyway. You're out if you hit it anyway, for the most part. So stay ready to take your A swing off. Maybe a choke up, maybe shorten up the mindset, no big thoughts, more to the middle. You know what I mean? Just do something different. And then the pitcher's weapons will also dictate the two-strike approach too. It's always breaking ball or it's always fastball or hey, you never know. There's no, it's always fluid, but have one because 50% of your bats will come with two strikes. So you better have a club in your bag for it is really the point.
Really? That's a real stat?
That's a real stat. That's a real
Really?
stat. 50% of your at bats will come with two strikes.
It's interesting. Interesting. How did you do? How'd you fare as a player? Two strikes. You got a pretty good two strike approach there.
I was pretty good. Yeah, I would shorten up a little bit. I could smack. I was a left-handed hitter, first baseman, that I could smack the ball to left field pretty good.
Yeah.
So I could soft serve it. I would piss you guys off, you pitchers, even though
Yeah.
you're a marinade. But I say, since you're a pitching guy, I you guys would spoil stuff, and I'd be able just to knock it over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I knew I could do that. And so, but then once the league AAA figured that out, then they started pounding me in, and I didn't have a club in my bag for that one.
So
Yeah.
I struggled. I struggled hard in as a lefty. I don't know why people think lefties in like they just crushed it. Maybe some people. I've seen David Ortiz turn some two seams on the hard inner third of a plate in. I'm like, dude, I'm so impressed that you're able to keep your hands in for that long and get the
Right.
bat head out that quickly. Like, I just could not. If I ever made contact with the hard fastball in and it was a good barrel, that thing was hooking so far to the right, it wasn't even funny, man. And
That's
then the
funny.
next pitch, gone anyways. So I
Yeah.
got the question here. I don't necessarily know what he means, so I'm just going to throw it out to you, and you just take it and run with it in whatever direction that you want here. So he ask him about a swing with big movements versus a simplified swing. So again, not really too much information there, but
Yeah,
when
but
when I say that,
so
what do you got?
when I left the Red Sox, I took a job. I was getting paid for another year, so instead of going back and working, I decided to stay at home and volunteer at the University of Central Florida, which is not too far from my house. And my daughter was a soccer player there at the time. That way, I could keep an eye on those baseball boys with her, you know. So
Yeah,
so I was volunteering. Um, and I walked in the cages, and they, Coach Lovelady, Coach Tom were like, "What do you think?" And I was like, "Ugh." And they're like, "What do you mean? What do you mean?" And I was like, "Well, dude, no offense, but I was just watching the best in the world for 2 years, and how efficient their movements were."
yep,
And I walk in this college cages, and I see these big, strong dudes. Again, strength conditioning. They're all jacked, but they're all making massive, big moves, trying to create big results. So efficiency is better. Learn how to move correctly. If you don't know, look me up. I have a ton of free stuff online. If not, my program can teach you how to do it. But efficient movements is the name of the game. Because as you play higher, you can't get the pitchers are too good now, and they're throwing, and the high fastball is back. So if you don't have a tight turn and you don't get your swing off, you're going to get beat in today's game. And then the amount of breaking balls that there, if you don't have something where you're not offering it that all the time and can't hold your backside, then you're going to be in trouble also, you know?
yeah.
So anyway, hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, that's a good one right there.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of coming up on time here, so I'll throw some questions at you, just rapid fire. We'll answer them, and then I'll give you an opportunity to talk about your program, man. I think a lot of people who are listening to this will be intrigued to know more about it, see how you offer it, see if there's any availability for people to come work with you. But you know, when it comes to the amount of players that you work with, like you're never at a loss for for names that you can throw out there. I'm sure. Who is the best hitter that you have personally worked with?
That would, I coached Mookie Betts
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Yeah. And still coaching him, you know,
yeah.
I was sitting in this facility coaching Mookie Betts the Thursday, October 30th, and Friday, October 31st, which was the day before the day of Game 6 of the World Series. And so, yeah, I would say Mookie. Rafael Devers is probably second, I would say. Um, I mean, there's a lot, man.
Yeah,
Xander Bogaerts, Real Muto, Christian Yelich is probably number two actually because
there you
he's
go. Yeah, he's got
so
MVP on there.
yeah, he's an MVP, and so he and Mookie won it in 18. They won the MVP that year,
Yeah,
and so I got to coach both those guys in different times. It's pretty cool.
that's awesome. And did you have Benintendi in the Chicago as well?
I didn't. He was there when I was in the minor leagues. There, the coordinator, so I was around him. But we were together in Boston, and we still keep in touch. Benny's great.
Yeah.
Benny was one of the best young players in baseball. Had a good
Oh,
core group around him. Benny,
elite when he came in.
yeah, I think Benny thrives on a winning team in a role. I don't think Benny is is a cornerstone that you build around. And I don't think he wants to be. But I tell you, what a beautiful left-handed swing, and what a great kid and fun to be around. Big part of our championship team for sure.
Outside of yourself, who are some guys out there or girls? There's some great hitting coaches that are girls. Who are some hitting coaches out there online that maybe some people should be seeking advice from or information from?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, online, I don't really pay attention to what's going on out there. I post my stuff and kind of run my business. I don't really get too caught up. I feel like my program is the best one out there. So, I mean, there's other people like I took a video today and sent it to Tim Hires, who's the hitting coach for the Braves. He's a really good friend of mine, about my son, because there were some things that my son was seeing that I wasn't seeing, and I wanted Tim's eyes on it. So yeah, I consult with other hitting coaches all the time. Darnell Coles, who just got hired by the Braves. But as far as online, I don't know as many online that I trust, quite honestly. I really can't recommend any because I haven't done enough research, to be honest with you.
Gotcha. Another question that came in from somebody, but it's just an easy question. For some reason, the people want to know whether you like hamburgers or hot dogs more.
Hamburgers,
There
100%.
you go. There you go.
Yeah.
And then any advice right here, get parting words, any advice to young hitters when it comes to building their swings that you want to just leave with them?
If I were to go back and see my younger self, if I could take a DeLorean and back in time and go back and say, hey, little Barkett, number one, quit eating those Krispy Kremes.
They're so good, man, when they're hot. They're so good.
Yeah, get off the freaking black beans and rice and yuca all the time too. And I would tell myself to learn how to use my hips and really learn how to use my core. I was born with a big Cuban butt that I never quite learned how to use in baseball like I should have. Just because back then we didn't know about biomechanics, we didn't know about efficiency of movements, but now we do, and you can train to that. So a young hitter with an engine can train a swing a lot easier than a young hitter that fights to find an engine. And so, yeah, I would say learn how to use your lower half, learn how to connect your heel to the ground, and learn that is a conduit. It's like plugging your cell phone in. When you push most players, if you have them stand up and get in a batting stance, take a stride, they'll stride with their front foot. I teach players to push with their back foot until their front foot moves and feel that coil, and then I'll feel the pressure with the heel pressure that kind of causes the jab step. And when I have a player feel that, I'll go, boom, you just plugged your cell phone in, bro. Now you got the ground. Now that's a game changer. If you can learn how to do that, is what I would go back and teach my younger self.
So the same with pitching too, man. Just getting around that back hip and really firing, holding that tension for as long as possible down the mound, and just riding that back leg. Pitching and hitting. That's why I'd say I could talk hitting if I need to, because like from a movement standpoint, they're very very similar. If you're somebody who, for me, I was a righty thrower, lefty hitter, so like they weren't too similar. It was opposite sides, but if you're on the same side, they're very similar for how your hips need to move and how the sequencing of your body needs to kind of correlate together. So yeah, same thing out there for pitching. Go ahead and talk about your program. You've mentioned it a couple of times, man. I want to give you the opportunity to share what that is and how you help kids, and give you the floor here.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's going to kind of change a little bit in 2026. I've had some plans. I thought I might get back into professional baseball going into 26. And I still might, but I probably won't. It's not looking that way. Some things I had two teams that were interested, and then on the same day they went in different directions. So I hit into a double play, and with the bases loaded. So so that kind of, and I had plans for moving this business into something else, or just kind of making it more streamlined. So in 2026, the remote program, it's still going to be where I'm able to work one-on-one with people remotely. That's not going to change because that's a big part of my business. But I'm creating something where players can watch me teach on a live stream once a week, both mental game and in person, and then be a part of an online community in a Discord group where we're sharing videos and hitting, and they're posting videos of their wins, and so it's been really neat. And so that is starting. I've just started to implement that. We're in the beta version. Like I said, the book is written. We're going to get that published, hopefully for when I speak in January. But yeah, I have a little cage here in Oviedo, Florida, and next to the Oviedo post office, believe it or not. And in and out of this cage, people walk in and out of the post office, and then you see some of the best players in the Southeast from the University of Florida, from The kid here right before this podcast is going to be a first rounder. He's committed to Clemson. Louis Hernandez, one of the top perfect game rated players in the country. Nate Davis was here yesterday, who's got a perfect game rating of 10, is going to be probably a first rounder committed to LSU. Parker Lowe was here over the weekend, committed to LSU. So they're in and out. And then I do remote training with. I have players in professional baseball. I have players in high school. I have players in college, where I meet with them on Zoom. And with AI now, there's so many ways to really help players. Even in my program has gotten so much better because of having like AI assistants, being able to listen to Zoom calls and write down the meeting notes and organize programs for players. It's been really cool. So I'm gonna just ask everybody to follow Holistic Hitting on Instagram, and then just stay tuned to what's coming to 2026. If you have questions, reach out, DM me. I'm pretty easy to get in touch with.
Definitely, yeah. I'll plug the Power Pivot underneath, as well as Holistic Hitting for your Instagram. Do you have Twitter, YouTube, anything like that you want me to plug in there?
Yeah, Twitter's Andy. The YouTube page is growing. So yeah, the YouTube, there's some videos on there. So I would check it out. Holistic Hitting on YouTube also, and then Twitter's just my name, Andy Barkett 17, I believe. So
definitely, and the best way for people to get in touch with you is how? Email,
just Instagram, DM me on Instagram. Yeah, that's where I kind of run my business off of. So that's probably the easiest way.
Okay, great. Man, this was a great conversation. I think that you provided a ton of nuggets for a lot of people out there. I'm super excited to get this one out. This one will be dropping on not this Monday, but next Monday. So right after Thanksgiving. So again, thank you so much for your time, man. Let you get back to work. Let you get back to helping those players rake that we will soon be seeing on TV if we're not already seeing them on TV. So best of luck to you in your business, man. This is good stuff. You're good for the baseball community.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on.